Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Here we are for our quest at home on Monday, the 12th of April, 2021. Amazing. I'm just going to put in this headphone. Good morning, so that the sound is good. Well, this morning, everybody, we're going to talk about the second one of Petrea's famous 4 C's, which are what we call our recipe for inner peace. That is a wonderful part of Petrea's work. Her fantastic book, Your Life Matters, says it all, really. And our many wonderful programs that really teach this fundamental understanding of making a commitment to our own well-being in our own life as part of the second C, the letter C in these 4 C's, our recipe for peace. And it really is a beautiful topic and takes some unpacking, and I think I could easily run a week-long workshop on the second C on its own, because it has so much beautiful content and wisdom in it to share. And today I wanted to share really about what I see as the first roadblock that most people hit when they encounter this commitment to your own life, to living your own life, is that we have been raised, most of us, and taught to think that taking care of ourselves or thinking about our own well-being or thinking about what we would like is selfish. And that the idea being that if we ever do that, somehow we're always doing it at the expense of others. So this morning I want to unpack some of those ideas and hopefully change your mind. You never know. But let's start everything by doing nothing and come to our senses. So this is a beautiful practice. Some of you, this will be a great reminder of your time at Quest, and others it may be new. Very, very helpful little practice. So we simply bring our awareness to the present moment, where the body is always current, because the body is running this enormously fantastic organism called the human body, with trillions of cells and millions of brilliant functions that we really barely understand. It's doing that constantly without our direction. So it has to be in the present moment. It can't afford to be, it doesn't have time to be worrying about the past or thinking about the future. It's taking care of business right now. So let's tune in together. If you're comfortable closing your eyes or gazing softly at the screen, feeling your feet upon the floor, the ground, wherever you are, and just reaching with your awareness now through the soles of the feet into your connection with the earth. Wherever you are, you might be high in the sky on the 20th floor of a building, it doesn't matter. In your mind's eye, with your awareness, you can make that connection of your physical body as part of life here on planet Earth, with the Earth herself. And so as we make that connection and take a breath in, then we visit the rest of the physical senses that mean that we, in our awareness and consciousness, take a visit, come to visit, if you will, the experience of the physical body in this moment. So bringing your attention to where you're sitting or standing, lying, feeling the body in contact with whatever's supporting you, a chair, a bed, the grass. Feeling those points of connection, feeling the weight of the body, noticing that the body is here now. And then taking a breath, releasing that as you just drop in. With your awareness, you drop in on your body, on a high body. And so now we tune into, indeed, again, the breath, allowing another breath to take away some tension, whatever got us to this point, and feeling the touch of clothing on your skin. And maybe you can feel the air around you. Is it a little bit cool this morning? Is it warm? Is there any movement of air, a breeze or a fan? Just feeling this sense of the skin of the body being touched by clothing, touched by air, being very present with your beautiful body this morning. And so, sense of smell, breathing in through the nose. Are there any aromas in your environment of breakfast, flowers, city, traffic, country air? What is it that damp, if you've had a lot of rain, what is it that you can recognize, acknowledge as aromas coming into a very powerful sense for the brain? And then the sense of sight. So if you have your eyes closed, we can have this sense of sight behind closed eyes. And maybe you can see lights of some kind or the beauty of the blackness. Just noticing the sense of sight. And then, of course, hearing. Are there any sounds inside your environment, in your room, in your home, in your office, in your car? Are there any outside? Are there birds? Is there traffic? And we're not making an opinion, we're just acknowledging what's there. Sense of taste. Any taste lingering in your awareness? And so we come to our senses literally to be present with ourselves, for ourselves in this current moment, because it helps us think, it helps clear the brain, it calms us down, it allows the vagus nerve to connect up so that our brain can talk to our gut and we become calmer. So when people say calm down, or we wish we could calm down, this little tool, we've done it for less than 3 minutes, has an instantaneous effect. Brilliant. So thank you for joining me in that. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. Because that very practice, I'm going to say to people, when you leave Quest or you look at the Quest website, and that process is there, freely available for you to listen to, led by Petrea, whenever you want. That simple, practical tool in itself is a life changer. If you were doing that 4 or 5, however many times a day, you can do it at the traffic lights with your eyes open. You can do it any time you're in a queue, waiting in line for anything. You can do it whenever you start to feel the chemistry of stress taking over the body. Coming to our senses is a very practical way of demonstrating our commitment to our own life, the quality of our own life. And I know that many of you will be, and if I was with you in person, we could talk about acknowledging that we all are, and I count myself in this group, people who are good at being there for others, thinking about the welfare of others, serving. Perhaps some of you have been in service professions where you've been employed to be there in service for others when they're in need. Lots of us have taken those jobs on willingly. So we can be so good at that for other people. And often I find that the better people are at that for others, often that indicates that the worse, if I can use that word, they're going to be at that for themselves, at considering their own likes and dislikes, their own needs and wants. And many of us have been told that that is very selfish, and that people who do that are selfish. And we may have known people, had them in our lives, who indeed did focus very much on what suited them, what they wanted, when they wanted it, and how they wanted it. We may have married those people. We may be children to those people. So we're familiar with what that looks and sounds like, and often we don't like it. So unconsciously, many of us have kind of made a vow to never be that way, to never be that selfish person. And it's interesting, on some research they've done about various life-threatening illnesses, that there can be a profile, emotional profile, to people who are struggling with those issues. And it can be that they are the very people who would do anything for anyone, which sounds beautiful, and is certainly beautiful if you're on the receiving end, and usually indicates that they would do anything for anyone and they would do very little for themselves. And, if we spoke of someone who said she would do anything for herself, we go, oh, how selfish. And I just always have a laugh at the fact that in Australia, she loves herself is a criticism. Because, you've watched Oprah, you've watched Dr. Phil. In the United States, she loves herself is good on you, great self-esteem, go for it, right? In Australia, it's like, oh, terrible, she loves herself, right? So like the worst thing, which is such a shame because, in our country, we do have the tall poppy syndrome and the mateship blokes that are all about kind of knocking you around, not letting you get too big for your boots. We're big on that, knock you down to size, everybody's a mate, keep it equal, level playing field, which isn't, of course, how it actually works out, but it's a concept in the culture, if you will, that can really prevent us from being interested in what is truly going to make my life feel really worth living for me today. We're usually more comfortable with a to-do list and a I have to list. I have to do this for the partner, I have to do this for the children, I have to do this for work, I have to do this for mum and dad, I have to do this for this friend, because we feel needed and I have to, and people are counting on me and I have value and worth. I have to do this for myself. Sometimes we call that a guilty pleasure, don't we? Or I'll push my hairdresser's appointment back because I have to do this for someone else. And we're not interested in saying right or wrong, good, bad. What we're very interested in is noticing the 4 qualities and capabilities, the 4 C's, that people had, which gave them way better than expected outcomes with life-threatening diagnoses. And Petrea, in her many years, and all of us facilitators, we would say, we certainly have noticed in our own lives and in others that these qualities, the 4 C's, are key to living our best life, living a life that feels worth living to us. And my special field in my years of practice has been anxiety, depression, and trauma because I've suffered from all of those. So I wanted to get really good knowing what helped, and I still do. It's very useful to me. And this one, commitment to my own life, is still something of a challenge, I can freely admit, and of interest to notice how I don't often wish to include what is going to make my life really worth living for me every day. And immediately we think, oh, well, if I spent time on that, I won't have time for those other people. Immediately we think, if I spend time, money, attention on myself, I'm taking it away from someone else. I'm depriving someone else. The system we've been raised in, and we hear the politicians talk, well, if we gave all that money to the people on welfare benefits, then the economy wouldn't work, right? We won't get into that conversation, but you know what I mean. There's always a concept, if I give you more, somebody else is going to suffer, and we know that the flow seems to be more one way than another. So, and why I mention that is not to be political, but to say we can often clearly see that there's faultiness in the logic and that everybody's needs are not being considered equally. And that's not the point either. The point is, my life is my life. And if I'm dealing with stressful circumstances of any kind, and particularly life-threatening illness or chronic stress, which in itself is a life-threatening illness, depression is a life-threatening illness, if I am dealing with those every day and I wake up and I don't have anything in that day that sings to me, my life is important, my life matters, my life is worth living, I will be depressed and, you know what, depressing. Because this faulty idea that if we take care of ourselves, somehow the people around us will be worse off is so not true. Because if you can think of someone you love or care about, or even a friend, Do you love hearing about how they're so busy they don't have time for themselves and see them exhausted? Or do you love and enjoy hearing them celebrate if they did something they really loved? And kids love saying, "Oh, my mum loves to sing," or "My mum loves, dancing. My mum loves cooking." How beautiful to know what my mum loves. How beautiful to introduce a friend and say, "Oh, this is my friend, and he loves you know playing the guitar, doing football, whatever it is." Right? We love to see people happy. We do. One of the best ways you can bring happiness to others in your world is for them to see you actually giving yourself permission to truly engage and enjoy something that you love for you, that you love to do, spend your time, money, and attention on. I notice with my son, who's on the autism spectrum, he never fails to ask if I'm having a massage or a body work, and he says, "How is your massage, Mum?" And I think that's so interesting that he always remembers on a day when he says, "What are you doing today?" And he'll always remember to ask me that, which is unusual because he pretty much doesn't remember many other things about my days. But I notice that he focuses on that because I say, "Oh, it was lovely. I felt so beautiful." I'll tell him a bit about it. And I can remember what a relief it felt to me and my mum in her depression and anxiety when she would have a good day and do something she enjoyed. Now, this is not to say, "Oh, we do that for others." I'm just truly asking you to consider the fact that when you do things that show your commitment to your own enjoyment and quality of life, the people who love and care about you or know you will derive great joy, comfort, and pleasure from that. So my twisty logic, not in a bad way, is to flip that old belief on its side and say, "You know what? I'm contributing to everybody when I'm giving from a glass half empty, full, overflowing, not half empty." When I'm not giving from a glass half empty, got my buckets and glasses metaphors mixed there. You know the ones I'm talking about. If we keep giving from emptiness and from not having time, care, kind attention to pay to ourselves, others feel that too. They start to feel like a burden. They don't want to worry us. They don't want to bother us. They stop telling us what's going on with them. And then we become distant in our relationships because we're not really sharing what's happening, because people are trying to protect us from ourselves. "Oh, don't tell Mum, she's too busy, she'll worry. Don't tell Dad, he'll only get upset. Oh, don't tell her she's having a hard time." Right? This doesn't help relationships to flourish. So what I'm saying is when people can see that, yeah, I might be having a difficult time, and I got a massage last week, or I went for a lovely walk, or I took the dog out, or I bought myself a bunch of flowers, I did something that was yay, me, to me, from me, others can see that and feel more confident and more comfortable in sharing themselves with me, and relief at the fact that I care about my own life. So what I'm suggesting for your consideration is it's not selfish to consider and act on what your commitment to your own life might look like. In fact, it is a contribution not only to yourself, but to everyone around you. So we break this commitment down to 4 areas, and they're very rich. We talk about contributing to our physical well-being, and we really recommend at Quest for Life body work, because we say the issues are in our tissues. And I know this so strongly for myself and for numerous clients over the years, to that chronic stress held in the muscles and the tissues. That massage, if you're comfortable with touch, but if you're not, there's forms of massage where people don't actually touch you, but they work with you energetically, and that can be very effective. It might be sound healing. I have these beautiful crystal bowls that actually create sound waves around the body that help relieve stress. It can be nature, being in nature, it can be many other things, but for many people, in fact, we'd say as an organism, as humans, touch is important to us. And so if touch has become something difficult or frightening, that could be something to gently explore, because the galvanic skin response, those receptor sites there are waiting for the soothing, for the comforting to occur. And in our loving relationships, it is very beautiful to touch the ones we love, be touched by them. And it's a great way to contribute to other people, to rub them on the back, to rub their shoulders, to hold their hand. And you know what? It even works to hold your own hand. I know it might seem crazy, but you know, the receptor sites don't actually say, wait a minute, whose hand is that? They don't. They just go, oh, lovely, my hand's being held. That feels good. There's a lot of beautiful things. Sorry, some weird things coming on my screen. Oh, I've got a computer glitch. Hold on, sorry. A lot of beautiful things in various Chinese medicine traditions that where we can hold our thumb and create beautiful energy. I don't know if you can see this thing that's popping up on my screen. There we go. Hopefully. Technology, we love it when it works, and boy, it can do some interrupting things. So paying attention to the body and our sense of touch is really, really key. And you know, if you're not too crash hot on humans and their touch and what that can mean for you, of course, our furry friends are great for this. And so I'm just going to try another response to this. Oh, sorry. Okay, left it. So fur babies, and funnily enough, often if I'm doing inner child work, which you might have come across at Quest or in other places, where we really pay attention to our childhood experiences and are kind to that little child part of ourselves, which is actually a neural network in the brain. And I do often prescribe that people buy a soft furry toy and have it on the bed or in their environment, because again, amazingly enough, the receptor sites on the skin don't care if it's really a fur baby that needs feeding and looking after, or a cuddly teddy bear or unicorn or something that doesn't need any maintenance at all, but still is very soothing to the brain. So we look at the physicality and many things that people will be exploring with you during the week: sleep, diet, sensible things. And we also look at our emotional needs, our mental needs, and our spiritual needs. That contemplating our own needs and well-being can be of great interest and creativity to us if we haven't given ourselves thought before. And permission to say, you know, at the end of the days of my life, I am the one who's been responsible for the choices I've made and how much I have been willing or able to value myself. And I know that many of us came from tough backgrounds where we were wounded, humiliated, shamed, indicated that we were not of value. And I know the work that it takes to reprogram our brains to realize that that is simply the words and thoughts of stressed, unhappy, potentially traumatized parents, actually had nothing to do with our actual value. And coming out from under that set of beliefs is so important to our quality of life. Because any of you who are thinking, oh, you know, I don't even want to spend time, money, and attention on myself, because underneath there sits, I'm not worth it, and that's running through your mind every day as I got this wrong, I got that wrong, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, or I'm not as good as, I'm not as good as. You know, one of the things we put out on the table at Quest is, you know what? You're not, none of that thinking is actually about you, because guess what? Everybody's thinking it. And we actually get show of hands, right? 25, even the facilitators put up their hand to, yeah, I didn't walk out of my family of origin going, I am so worthy. Bring on world. Look at me. I'm fabulous. I am to be celebrated in every moment, right? I'm worthy of anything you want to give me, surprise me with, support me, go for it. We didn't walk out of our family of origin or our school or our wherever else we've been feeling like that. So I'm saying it's a universal thought pattern. It's actually not about your actual value. It's actually a thought pattern that humanity has for reasons we won't discuss here that are all just theories people have, right? Suffice it to say, we're going to feel much better in our lives if we can move beyond those. I'm going to call them false beliefs, mistaken beliefs. And I know there might be a part of your brain, yeah, but she doesn't know me. Yeah, but she hasn't heard my track record. And go, trust me, after 40 years as a therapist, I've heard a lot. And, it's simply the case is that the thinking is too similar to think it's original or that it's actually about us. The script is so, we have it in common so much that you go, you know what, this can't be personal because everybody's thinking the same thing. I'm not worthy. I have to work and work and work to prove that I'm worth something. People aren't going to value me or my contribution. So this second C challenges all of that. And we know that, the Women's Weekly and the magazines are now all about self-love, light a candle, have a bath, buy some flowers. We've seen the lists. They're out there. Great. But not helpful unless I'm really willing to come on board with, surely all those beliefs about me not being worth it, I need to re-examine them. Where did they even come from? Sure, I might have made mistakes, been embarrassed, got humiliated, failed. That's pretty much every human has done that. But that doesn't mean I have to carry a script of me being committed to the joy of my life is not on the table. Why? I don't want to spend a life of however many years I might have not doing that because it's not going to be fun. And why wouldn't I get to enjoy at least some, if not a goodly proportion, of my time here if it's at all within my power? So you see what I'm going for here is turning some of these ideas on their heads that are, I can't show commitment to my well-being, my likes and dislikes, my physical comfort and pleasure, my having a good time, because that would be selfish and take something from someone else. I'd really like to invite you, if those beliefs seem true to you, I'd really like you to consider where you got those ideas from, who said that, and quite probably it was the way your parents lived their lives. And how did that work out for them? Is that a life you want? Is it truly selfish to be committed to the best quality of life for you? We're not suggesting I'm spending all my money on myself and, the new thing of spending the children's inheritance, I don't care what happens to them. It doesn't have to be that extreme reaction. But it's like, what are the choices I'm making based on my true care, kindness, and commitment to myself? One of the greatest psychological, mental health issues that is so embedded in the culture and pretty much everybody has is this difficulty, this absolute dislike of being kind, loving, compassionate, caring to ourselves. And when you just step away from that for a minute and look at it objectively, you go, that is just a very strange thing. Why would that be so? Why would we want to raise a culture full of people who think ignoring themselves, putting themselves last, exhausting themselves on everybody else's behalf is a better way to be? Interesting thought for your perusal. So I'm asking you, inviting you this morning in our quest at home to consider whether any of what I've said rings true for you, is something you feel you'd like to explore and enjoy, what we're saying to you from Quest, there are no shoulds here. We're just saying, hey, you know what? We invite everybody to do the experiment. And when you do an experiment, you look at the evidence. And the researchers in America who wrote a book on this, I can't remember in this moment, but it's in Petrea's book. Read Petrea's book, Your Life Matters, and her research over years and thousands says that the people who can do this, be committed to taking good care of themselves, have way better than expected outcomes with life-threatening illnesses. And if that's the only piece of this that grabs your interest, yay, go for it and say, all right, just let me check it out. Just let's check this out objectively. Not I deserve to be, I must be. It's not even that personal. Doesn't every human deserve to be treated kindly? Let's just start there and shown some compassion. And you are in that group, and I am in that group, and we're all in it together. So thank you for spending this half hour with me today. Hope that some or all of that is helpful. You know where you can find more of that on the Quest for Life website and Facebook page, which are obviously already on. And enjoy exploring this further with our other beautiful facilitators later in the week. And I will see you again next Monday. Have a great Monday, everybody. Bye.